Welcome to Things I Can't Say, the podcast for the things parents whisper, not post. I'm Annie, a parent who's walked through the quiet, lonely hallways of raising a child with traits that don't fit neatly into any of the parenting books, or on anyone's social media feed either. Each week we'll open the door to stories that rarely get told out loud. I'll start with mine, and then you'll hear from other parents, mental health professionals, and people who know what it means to live in the gray instead of the black and white. This is a place where shame loses its power, where complexity isn't feared but explored, and where love doesn't have to be easy in order to be real. If you've ever felt like no one else could possibly understand, you're not alone here. This is Things I Can't Say, and I am so glad you're here. Do I regret adopting? No. Would I adopt again? Also, no. Let me explain both of those in more detail. I have zero regrets about our 3 adoptions. I went in with my eyes wide open. I've wanted to adopt since I was very young. I felt prepared, ready. I don't have any regrets about being the mom to any of my 3 adopted children at all. Not even a tiny bit. And when people seem to suggest that I should regret it, it's a little bit of a stab in the heart for me because I can't fathom not being their mom. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. I would not inflict that trauma on my family again. And that is because I regret the system that is part of adoption. With our first adoption, it was a private adoption. I knew going into it that we were on our own. We were paying for it ourselves. We found the lawyer ourselves. We sought out all of that ourselves. We had to gather information ourselves. We were on our own with that. With our second adoption, with our now 18-year-old son, we went through the foster care system intentionally. We wanted a child who was known, that they had information on, that came with some ongoing support. And that is both a spoken and unspoken part of your foster care and adoption classes, that there is this ongoing level of support from the state after your adoption. It's part of what you hear. And some of the ways that comes out, like in just full transparency, I'm in Oregon, so I'm speaking of an experience in Oregon, but many states are similar. Kids are rated on a scale of need. In Oregon, it's called a CANS assessment, CANS. And based on their level of need, adoptive parents and foster parents get a certain level of payment per month. So even after a child is adopted, adoptive parents get a payment, adoption assistance, every month until that child turns 18. That is ongoing support from the state. When we adopted our 2 youngest kids, their CANS level was fairly low. It was not super high by way of what the state saw their needs to be. What we were told during training to be adoptive parents was that we could have our kids reassessed if their needs got to be more. We had them reassessed. Our kids became the highest level of need. That adoptive assistant payment was approximately $1,800 a month for each child to help out with their care. Doesn't cover child care or respite care, just their basic care each month. There's also Medicaid to help with their medical care, their mental health care, all of those pieces available until they turn 18. There's this concept that there's this ongoing support if you adopt a child with special needs through the state. I went into it thinking there was ongoing support of some kind. And while I fully understand that adopting a child makes them yours for all legal intents and purposes, there is still this unspoken that there is ongoing support. But when the rubber meets the road and you need support, it is not available. There is no one to call. I remember the first time I called to ask for help, I got referred to this nonprofit post-adoption resource thing that offered me a support group, which was virtual at that point because it was COVID, offered a book to read that I could borrow. They sent me some pamphlets in the mail. I was drowning. I did not know how to stay above water at that point, and it was like, well, here's a little bit to help. There was nowhere to call. By the time our son was 17, I was in a virtual meeting with the deputy director of CPS saying, "You failed me. You are failing families." And in Oregon, they've been sued for this already. You are failing families, families who need help. And she said, "We did fail you. We were raising your child and then we handed him off to you. Like we started this and we handed him off to you and we weren't here to support you." Correct. I'm not somebody who seeks the lawsuit thing, but I need the words of "we failed you" because our family needed help and we could not access it. In many states, the residential beds for mental health, substance use, behavioral health, they're contracted by CPS, the foster care system, by the juvenile department. So unless your child is in state custody of some kind, you can't access those placements. It is why parents sign over their rights to the state. And people push back on that. Why would adoptive parents give up their child? That's so wrong. You should never do that. It's because it's the only way they can access help. If it is your child, the beds are not available. They don't exist. Nobody will give them to you. But if they are in state custody, somehow those spaces magically open up. It's how the system works. It's how it works. And it is beyond frustrating. But people don't see it until you're living in it. We accessed every possible form of help we could find. Our son was on Medicaid. We kept his Medicaid because we knew the amount of help he was needing, and many providers were only available with Medicaid, especially that higher level of care. He also qualified for disability services, which was another qualification for Medicaid. We accessed the 24-hour holds in the ER. We accessed a 10-day psych hold. We accessed a 30-day outpatient stay. We did the 8.5-month secure psych hold. Getting that 8.5-month hold was the biggest fight. Like, I think people believe that if you see your child is severely mentally ill and severely dangerous, you can just go to court and petition. You can just tell the judge you need help. In many places, that is not actually a thing. In order to get him into that placement, I mean, we were at the lowest we had ever been. He had just been scooped up literally off of the side of the road in downtown Portland, Oregon. So high, found on the side of the road. We had to get county approval. Then we had to get state approval. I called, I emailed, I cried to so many people begging for a placement. Once we finally got approval, it was waiting for a bed to open. The begging it takes to get any form of help is insane. When you know. There was one point our son was shoplifting, like severely. He was running away, shoplifting constantly. I was calling the police saying, I know right now he just accidentally called me. I can hear him in a store. I know what store he's in. I heard him talking to a friend saying he's shoplifting. Heard it. Can you do something? No, we can't. That's up to the store. I called the store. My son is in your store, actively shoplifting. Will you do something? No. I called the county. I called the juvenile department. I said, is there anything we can do? My son is out of control. What he is doing is completely out of control. Is there anything we can do? No, as a parent, there's not anything you can do. You have to wait till it gets bad enough. How bad does it have to get? How bad does it have to get? This is my reason for not adopting again, because I now know that in order to get help, it has to get to the very top of bad. We can't be proactive in getting help. It has to completely spiral out of control, and according to the system, preferably it has to harm other people. Preferably, he has to be caught harming other people in order to get the help that he needs. While he was inpatient for 8.5 months, he assaulted someone else. No charges were pressed. I never heard another word about that. He ran away from there. Nothing was really done about that. If I've heard correctly, there may or may not be some CPS allegations while he was in there. Nothing's done about that because if he's inpatient, if he's in a group home, if there are allegations against him, those actually go against staff because the staff are the ones who are supposed to be watching. It's not his fault. It's the staff's fault. So any allegations that happen during that time are against staff, not against him, and nobody does anything. People pushed back when we talk about accessing a developmental disability group home for him because why would I put a predator into or perpetrator, however you want to word it, into a group home with other disabled children because he qualified to be there, because he's also a disabled child. He has autism. He was exposed to substances in utero. His brain also qualifies for a developmentally disabled group home. Did it work? No, it did not. Were there allegations while he was there? Yes, there was. There was. Did that matter? No. It didn't. It didn't matter. I I won't adopt again because I cannot put my family through it again. Cannot put my children through it again. There's still this part of me that I think will always have this longing to help kids. I love the idea of foster care. I love the idea of comforting children through trauma and helping families reunify, and I love open adoption so much. I think there's a lot there, and our system is so incredibly broken that when you take kids and you remove them from their birth family, from a very traumatic situation, and then there is no access to help, zero access to help. My repeated statement, I think it started when my son was 16, became, "My son is deserving of help. My son is human. He is a human, and he deserves treatment. This is beyond our family deserves to be safe. It is beyond our community deserves to be safe. It is beyond I want peace in my home. My son is a human who deserves appropriate care. He deserves appropriate treatment, and we cannot access it. And it is not for lack of trying, because if there is someone I can call, I have called them. If there is an agency, I have reached out. If there's an email, I've done it. I have done everything, and it is not accessible. Just talking about that part makes me want to scream because I know that I have good executive functioning, and I look at how many families don't. How many families we expect to navigate this system, and it's a system that is not meant to be navigated. It is not made for success. How do you expect birth families, like, that family to stay together, to avoid the system when they can't even access help? It's not possible. There is no help. Not until really bad things happen, and by that point, it's too late. By the time we could access the help that was needed, it was too late, which is what I said over and over and over. I didn't want to wait until it was too late. I wanted help while we could still get help, and it was too late. I can't put my family through that again, and I can't put any other kids through that. It's not fair. The system is not fair. Am I anti-adoption? I wouldn't say that I'm anti-adoption. I think there are ways that adoption can be ethical. That there's a whole argument in that, but I think there are ways adoption can work. I am very anti how our system currently does it because I don't think that it is made for success. I think it is made to keep people broken. Otherwise, we would have had a very different outcome. I tried too hard, and I know that I did. Come back next time. I'll try to find more positive things to talk about than all of the negative, but I also want to keep it very real. I want to tell the truth. I want to talk about the things that are on my mind. And when people ask me, should I adopt? I want you to hear every bit of it and not just the adoption's so beautiful and all of the happy I went and picked up my cute little baby videos that pop up. There are so many pieces to it. And if we're not prepared for all of it, we should not be adopting children. You have to be ready for all of it. Take care of you. Thanks for being here, listening, feeling, and sitting with the hard stuff. If you've ever whispered a story like mine, I'd love to hear from you. You can leave me a message at mombehindthescenes.com because every story told gives someone else permission to share theirs. This is Things I Can't Say, the podcast for things you whisper, not post. Until next time, take care of yourself.